fortunate thing about this first one is the nose. The nose is amazing because the SDR cask, which is a shaved, toasted, and recharred wine barrel, gives it amazing fruit flavors. So she's prettiest on the nose, and I wanted my first ever blend, commercial blend, to have a pretty nose, and she does. Anyway, and then the rest of the whiskey in there is Oloroso and Bourbon cask from Virginia. So the only Irish is the Sauternes cask finish. So cheers. And if you don't like it, just toss it over your shoulder. I'll do it. So it's 120 proof. So so we won a gold medal at San Francisco, silver medal at ADI. First time we ever submitted.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. You know, this was proof of concept. We really pulled it out of thin air together. I mean, not exactly. She flew all over the world. Had to pick private barrels. There was a lot of work involved too. But it was really gratifying to get a gold medal right out of the gate.
Well, that picture up there, that's off the coast of where the Clonakilty brick house is, right by the ocean. It's absolutely gorgeous there. Probably shouldn't have too much to drink. It might fall off that edge there. It's really, really gorgeous when you stand at the edge. It's literally on the ragged edge of nothing. The southwestmost part of Ireland. So, you guys want to add anything to?
You're doing perfectly.
Okay. It's my whiskey. I should know something about it, right? So what do you think? So the idea behind doing this also was because people always think that blends kind of suck. Right, they're like, Scotch blends are cheap. I only do single malts, which is kind of bullshit because, well, this is not a single malt blend. It's a malt blend, right? So it's a vat malt basically. So at the end of the day, it's just good whiskey, right? Stuff that, and I like to equate it to cooking because I love to cook. That if you only had one type of ingredient to cook your chicken or whatever you eat or your vegetable, and you couldn't add salt, you couldn't add pepper, you couldn't add garlic or whatever else. It's kind of boring, right? But you may really like that chicken, maybe an amazing organic chicken that's just absolutely tender and plump and all that, but without any of the extra parts, it just doesn't have those flavors. So by blending whiskey, I get to pull from different casks, right? There's at least 5 different casks that went into the first whiskey. And so you get all the little nuances. So when you taste it, so people always ask, and I used to not be able to answer that, and now I kind of know now that I'm blending. They say, well, how do you know it's a blend and not a single malt or a single cask? Because there's just so many other notes that are just not possible to put in a whiskey if you didn't blend it. And that's why, to me, blending is so much fun.
It was really interesting to see Irene evolve into this because it really started with lots of, I mean, she had a deep appreciation for whiskey starting off, you know, and when we first met. And
all the whiskeys in here?
Yeah, and then, you know, this became this passion of getting something that she specifically liked. So I was going around and getting private barrels, and that's how we met. And it was always said, as you guys know, I'm talking to people who already know more about this than I do, but anyways.
It's all good to tell. Some people are new.
Yeah. But you know, we show up here and Irene has, you know, dozens of new things to taste. And which is why we always say to people, eat before you show up. And you just getting these very special things. But then at a certain point, she started playing around and mixing and blending and, you know, saying, well, what else could we bring out of this equation? You know, if we start adding a new level of, you know, meat onto it. And her palate was so phenomenal. And so, you know, she started playing and tasting different things. And we talked about, you know, doing, you know, what kind of whiskey this would be. You know, would it be American stuff? Would it be international? And, you know, she and I are both international folks, you know, and she's, you know, born in a different country and I've lived in different countries, and we like this idea of bringing different cultures together and whiskey. And we, you know, fundamentally say whiskey is about sharing and getting to know new people and sharing an experience. And stories, yeah, and different stories. So super exciting, you know, to bring this idea and then manifest it into a bottle. And then you send it out to San Francisco World Spirits Competition and get a gold medal. It's just like, you know, boom.
But very, very fortunate to work with both Clonakilty and Virginia to be able to get such good whiskey.
Yeah.
Right? So with Clonakilty, I think I bought maybe 2 barrels from you guys.
Yeah, at least.
Right?
Yeah.
Originally. And then I said, I think you come visit. They're gonna come visit, you know, send a single barrel. So I did. And the next thing you know, I have 6 barrels from them. And so I'm out there, I'm like, I want that one, that one, that one, that one. And then I came back here and I realized I didn't have enough whiskey because when I started this project, it was kind of a budget, sort of. But nobody told me what to make, how to make.
No,
And
it was
how much-
really a blank slate.
So
Really
while it's
blank slate.
really, really exciting, also really scary, right? Because I mean, for like if you're a writer and you have to write something, if somebody gives you a word, it's much easier to go, okay, I got something to start with. But when you have a blank canvas, it's really exciting, but also really scary. But I was like, all right, fine, I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna do it. So I did. So I bought all these barrels, 15 barrels worth.
And we decided
between-
single malt, right? That was really important. We decided we wanted to go with the single malt.
Well, just malts in general.
Yeah, with malt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So then I came back here and I'll have to tell the story of the 15 year that you might, if you get picked, will win this. So this was a really nice barrel that I tasted. You only had one, I guess, one barrel. And so I said, oh, can you sell me that here? So we actually have the 15 year here. Sell me half of that to my store as a single barrel, and then the other half can you ship to my project? And at first they said yes. And I came back here, they're like, no, it's so special, we can't sell it to you. I was like, oh, damn, right? But believe me, it still ended up in there. So one of those bottles is very expensive. So when I came back here and I realized I didn't have the 15 year to let me blend what I wanted to blend, I was started to kind of panic a little bit. So I was in here, I remember, walking around going, all right, I had my first 2 barrels. I think it was my Christmas cake and my Queen's Jam, which is a port cask, Irish finish, and River Salt finish. So I blended those 2 together. I was like, that's pretty nice. Well, I need something. And my Virginia single barrel, this one over here, Harsh Conviction, it is my breakfast malt. Happened to be just
Gail,
sitting
is this a
there.
private
I
tasting?
always do that, and I noticed, Amanda, you do that too. You're like tasting stuff, and you go, let me put that together. So I did, and it was amazing. The nose came out really, really nice. Not that that's what I ended up creating, but I was like, wow, maybe that can happen. So I called my salesperson, Erica, and I go, Erica, can you sell me some whiskey in bulk? She goes, I don't know. We really don't do that. But let me find out. 15 minutes later, she calls me and she goes, yeah, when do you want to come? And so the rest is history because Amanda, amazing palate, picked up 4 ex-bourbon barrels.
Mhm.
The SDR cast was just kind of hanging out
I had
there.
2 that I pulled forward
Yeah,
and told Brad
okay.
if she's interested.
Oh yeah, when I smell them, like, yes. That should have been a single barrel. We actually got a little taste of the original stuff today. And then I was like, I need some Oloroso sherry and some PX sherry. So I just went and so ended up overall buying 15 barrels of whiskey. So somebody goes, so actually Colin goes, so you need to put them all together. I'm like, no, that's not how my brain works. So I said, let me go figure out what I'm gonna do with this. So it ended up being 3 blends. So I used what I thought I had. My first one, like for me, I'm like, it's gotta have a great palate and a really good nose, right? Because of the whiskey is not as old as I like it to be, because I have no 15 year. It's slightly shorter finish, but the nose and the mid palate is so big that you kind of forget, right? And it's okay, because the first one, as it turns out to be, is more of your appetizer before your dinner kind of drink. And then with that, we will move on to number 2,
Which is really number 3.
which is early number 3,
Yeah.
right? And the reason we're doing that is because number 2 has smoke in it, so we don't want to lower your palate. It's going to lower your palate. So number 3, as important.
You know, the other really great thing, and again, I want to go back to pork and to Amanda and how integral they are to this process is, you know, like Irene and I always said, is you can't cook great meals without having great ingredients. And if it were not for the generosity of them and their trust in Irene to do something good with what they're doing, they gave her really, really good whiskey. So, she called me from Virginia and was like, you can't believe the barrels I just got. These are phenomenal. This is so exciting. And so, and that's when it really started to come together. So this is the 3rd one. Yeah.
For us, the point was that Irene actually bothered to go to Ireland to do the barrel pick because so many people, just pull some samples and send them over, and Irene got on a plane, went over, made her own way over, and started jumping around the rick house and pick stuff. So that's the difference. And that's to show somebody actually really that extra 1% of difference of effort. That's what it's about.
Hey, we want to bet you're going to be there.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely.
Yeah.
I know it costs money to do that, but you know what?
Yeah.
You get what you want. So anyway, so the third one was the second one we're tasting. The reason we're doing that first is the second one actually has some smoke. So this one is a really funny story. This one's named after me. It's called Ken's Fury. because the day I made this whiskey, I was really angry. I had renovations on my house, and I was trying to do my day job. As you all know, I have a day job, and I'm trying to work, and I can hear these guys banging the house through my headphones, and I'm looking out, and it's just not good. They're really, really noisy, and all of a sudden they're quiet, and they're taking photos outside of my house. And I was like, oh, that's not a good sign, right? So I run out of the house, and I go, what's going on? They're like, oh, carpet and ants everywhere. The whole side of the house seems to be, 2.5 stories seems to be ripped off. And I was like, no, that's just like more than double the price of the project I was expecting to do. And so I came back in the house, and I was furious because I was like, damn it, the guy that did the windows before never sealed them, and that's what caused this to happen. So couldn't concentrate my day job anymore because I'm still here I'm doing the thing, and I'm mad. And I had to travel in 2 days to some whiskey event. So I said, I better blend whiskey. So I did. Well, I knew what percentages I had left. And very fortunately, the barrel that makes this one is dessert. This is your dessert whiskey. It has a lot of chocolate in it. It's a port cast finish, really special barrel that Amanda gave up so that I could have it. I bought it for one of my other clients, and unfortunately, I couldn't afford it. And so I said, no worries, I will use it in one of my other projects. So immediately proceeded to put that in the blend. So what I did, which is really kind of not normal, is knowing what percentage I had left of whiskey. Because the other thing too is when I make a whiskey blend, my first job is to make it the best smelling, the best tasting, the best finish, and all of that, right? But then secondly, you really would like to use all the whiskey you buy, because you don't want just kind of whiskey hanging around and then you end up with this infinity blend thing, which may or may not be good. So I was like, all right, that's all I have left. Damn it, I'm gonna throw them all together. So I did, and it smelled really good. And then it also tasted really good. So I bottled up a little sample bottle, took it to the store here, and let my crew taste it. And they're like, "What is that? That's really good." I said, "Angry whiskey." So I called Laura, and she goes, "What's going on?" I go, "I just made angry whiskey. It's really good." I said, "I don't always want to make good whiskey when I'm angry, but this is angry whiskey." So that's how she said, "We're gonna name it after you and call it Gas Fury." So if you like chocolate, this has layers and layers of goodness. Absolutely love this one. For I don't know, they're all very different. I love them all for different reasons, but this would be for me a whiskey that you drink after a holiday dinner, right? And you really have eaten too much already, and you really have no room for any of the other desserts. This is your low calorie dessert, I think.
Yeah, so pass on the cheesecake and head on over to Tan's Fury.
Oh, and
You gonna do both?
Yeah,
You can have both.
it would go really good with cheesecake, actually.
Anger usually burns calories. So.
Yeah. Yeah, she was so mad. When she got on the phone with me, she was rip-roaring mad.
I was mad for a long time.
Yeah.
And
she's like, but wait, you taste this whiskey. It was like a two-sided phone call. So I thought, okay, we gotta
So I tried
wrap this
to.
together.
I did try to save some of the amazing port barrel for my store, because I love my single barrels for my store. So what you're tasting was my first blend. Second blend, I took half of the port out, and I tasted it out like, not even close. So my store can't have that single barrel. I'm just gonna put it in my blend instead. So you've got the whole full, delicious. And I think you said it's almost a 7-year, right?
Yeah, so it spent over 5 years in ex-bourbon and then over 2 years in
the port cast.
cast.
That was a beautiful port cast.
Yeah.
Well, that port cast lives on, by the way. It is now in, actually, I think we just dumped it. It went to, when we dumped it for the project, it went to Boston Harbor Distillery, one of my other clients I'm working with, and we put an American single malt in it that was old and needed, it was old and too, what's the word I want to use? Too,
Pointy.
It was too oaky, and there were bad things that somebody did to that barrel. I was trying to fix it, add some sweetness to it. And I'm still trying to fix it by blending with other things, and I'm not quite there yet. So, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, with that beautiful barrel that's sat in there for almost a year, and it still couldn't fix it. So, still working on it. But anyway. So, do we like this one if we like chocolate? Mm. And everything's almost about, almost 60% ABV, so.
It's very light for that.
Yeah.
It's very light.
Yeah, I think the sweetness kind of hides the alcohol, so. But yeah, if you do like a dessert though, I definitely recommend putting it over maybe like a cheesecake. Cheesecake.
Yep. The thing which wasn't entirely planned, but really did come out well, because I like to do whiskey dinners, is that we have a starter, an entree, and a dessert whiskey, which again wasn't really the plan, but they really work beautifully together. So there's actually, if you want to have a flight of them, Five Corners Bistro in Farmington has
That's
King's
right,
Code
they have all
flight,
three of
yeah.
them, yeah.
And they had 4 slots, so they just, the last one, they put water in an eyedropper in case people wanted to mess around. But
Yeah.
it was really nice to get that in a flight, because we've had them on different accounts, you know, just as neat pours and things, but it's cool to have them all together. It's like this event, it's a special thing for our launch. Yeah. Get to try them all.
Did a couple new guys that showed in? Did you guys get one of these?
Raffles?
Raffle ticket? No? Oh, raffle ticket. All right. Yeah, raffle ticket.
We went around.
You might win a 50
I
here.
am.
So the combination of whiskeys in that one is mostly 90% of Virginia, 10% Clone Marcella cask, and then the rest was all my leftover whiskey. Besides that port cask, which was not leftover, it's a nice addition. There was some Oloroso, there was some PX, there was a ex-bourbon cask in there. So yeah, everything is about 5 barrels, 5 different cask finishes. So, okay. Any questions?
In DC.
All right, ready for the third one? Who likes oysters? Oh, oysters. All right, so if you don't think you like Scotch or smoky whiskey, you need to try this one with raw oysters. A couple of drops in your raw oyster, and I'm telling you, magic happens. You're gonna have to get some raw oysters tonight, just so you can try it.
I mean, twist my arm.
So this one is mostly more Irish. 52% Irish, 4% Scotch, and then the rest is American single malt from Virginia again. I guess we'll have to mix it up a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
What you saying?
Okay, on this one you're not gonna smell the smoke. This one's a slightly more difficult blend to make. It's very expensive. Of all the bottles, you're gonna buy one. This is the one that's worth the big bucks, and I'll tell you why in a minute after everyone has a pour of this. Alright, there's more than 12 people in here. So if you came in late, if you buy a bottle of King's Code, you're the first 12 to buy one, you get one of this really nice leather-bound flasks from Clone. And then if you hang around for a little while more, it'll keep you until the bitter end. And then we'll draw we'll draw the tickets, the raffle tickets, not long after. Alright, you're not gonna smell smoke on the nose, right? Mostly not.
Threatened me with a good time.
But it's hiding in there.
No, I
And then if you think you don't like smoke, just think of raw oysters. Literally, a couple of little drops. I don't know. It just happens. Okay, does everyone have number 2? So number 2 is called A Touch of Bessie, because there is some Isla whiskey in it. Bessie Williamson was the first Lafroy distillery owner that was a woman. So as you can see, there's a little theme here: a woman making blends, naming the whiskeys after women. Really don't want to name one after me, but you know, so happened, whatever.
But I'm a bossy girl, so.
She is. Like I didn't
It
do
just
it.
had to happen, yeah.
So that's why it's called A Touch of Bessie, because there is, see this, my old particular 12-year over there, my Kalila? 4% of that is in there. So I had to sell 41 bottles of that back to my project. And there was a reason for that. I made the blend without the Kalila first. And it was the Marcella cask, which was beautiful and fruity, was so arresting on the palate that I was like, Jen and I tasted it at 9 o'clock one morning, and she's like, oh my god, I think my palate is numb. and it was, and mine was too. So I go, oh shit, I'm gonna have to fix it. So I thought about it, and I said, all right, I'm gonna smack it tomorrow with some smoke, and I did. So what the Kahlua did for it was kind of lifted the fruit and brought the notes to the back, and then it lost its nose.
Yeah, it's good, isn't
You can't
it?
have a good whiskey without it. Come on, you can't charge $150 for a whiskey and not have it have a good nose, right? So I had to fix the nose. The only way I could fix the nose was to sell back 31 bottles of this back to my project. So once I added 31 bottles of that to the blend, then she's got a beautiful nose again. So that's why. So that's actually the most expensive of the bottles in terms of making it. I mean, we don't look at it that way, but in my head, I'm like, man, that's a lot of really expensive whiskey that went in it. So 3.5% of the 15-year, 4% of the Kalila, and actually, if you really know the truth, out of the 41 bottles of the Kalila, somehow I mixed up and sent them 4 bottles of Jura instead. So there's a little bit of Jura in there also. But, hey, it's Scotch. We didn't tell you what was on there. So but when you come here, you get to hear the stories.
You get to hear the deep truth, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's
So
okay.
these were all very interesting phone calls too, because as this process was going, she's like, the marsala. She was like, this marsala, I gotta come up with a solution. And then she's like,
yeah.
I just put some scotch in it, what do you think?
Yeah, so it really,
So
it tempered it.
the
And,
evolution of the
yeah, so
process.
to me, adding the Scotch and both, which is why I wanted older whiskey, right? Because older whiskey in general, if it's a well-made whiskey, has gives it a finish, right? Because it's been there longer, this definitely gives it a finish. And so I was hinting to Porrick here, and so when he came out for the launch of KillCo 2, Touch of Bessie, he was like, oh, I said, yeah, I don't need a lot of it. I maybe need like 10 gallons. So he's like, yeah, we got all this stuff for you. So I'm still trying to make my way over there. I was supposed to do that late last year. It didn't happen in October. Crazy things happen, and of course, even crazier things are happening that's out of my control right now, which is why I may not go over there till maybe later this summer to buy some older whiskey to implement more blends. So I think Laura and I decided that the KillCo line is always going to be a malt blend of some sort, just because I don't know how many people do that here in the U.S. that just concentrate on one. I don't think anybody does, right? People kind of like mix it up a little bit.
It's
So
such an exciting territory to work in, space to work in right
yeah,
now.
and especially when I had such a good base with American Single Malt from Virginia, that's like a
Yeah.
no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
I clearly am a fan if you can't tell. That that they really do make amazing whiskey. Like so, like my crew and I will always talk about the smell of whiskey and it's American Single Malt. It smells like Virginia, and I know you've asked me what is it. I go, I don't know. It smells like Virginia. It smells wonderful. So
Which is a good thing.
Orchard fruit and wood balance.
Yeah.
That's my
mhm.
take.
Yeah, and it's just a certain maltiness that's just perfect, So, but yeah, so this is Touch of Bessie. So think of it because of the smoke. Like the smoke comes on the very end, right? You don't really get the smoke on the nose, and just a hint of it. So, but that in the oyster, it's just a beautiful thing. Any questions? You're all so quiet. Either you really like it or hate it. I don't know. Or you're just waiting for your flask. So it's very different. I don't think. So I think we were just talking. I don't think anybody else has done a blend of Irish whiskey and American single malt in a blend together. I think Keeper's Heart does one with bourbon. They do American single malt and everything else with something else, some grain of some sort. And I decided to keep it mostly malt, just because it's fun. And the rest, rest of the time, who knows? I think for me, as long as you guys always have good, always have barrels available to me, I'd love to always have you guys in my blend, because that's kind of what I started with, right? And then there's the rest of the world to explore. I've been to like the single malt in Australia, there's some in New Zealand, in Tel Aviv, wherever else in the world. There's plenty to explore there, and those I think will be mostly my accents, something, even India, to add to what my base is. Because if you like what the base is, I think, we've got many places to go to from here on, right? Because other countries, however they make their malts, adds a different note to it. So I'm hoping that we can keep most of the base the same, and then, obviously make it very different. I mean, I feel like all three whiskeys are completely different. right? Some people just absolutely who met Riona first just love Riona and won't drink it. The other two, those other two are good, but we like Riona, like Paul.
Yeah.
Paul just drinks Riona
Yeah.
all the time.
Paul's
This
a
is
friend who has a shop in Greenwich,
Yeah.
and he has a phenomenal palate and big supporter. He's been buying Kings County for years from me. But I'm really excited because I've sold bourbon for the past 9 years, and it's just so exciting to have this really new thing that we're doing together that just feels incredibly creative. Like I come from an arts background, and so for me, the creativity is the draw to this. So, I mean, meeting Irene is just such a stroke of luck and such a phenomenal privilege and opportunity to work with you.
oh,
So.
rocky beginnings though, but
Oh yeah, oh gosh, this is, I'll tell you a funny, but maybe some of you have heard this story if you've done these things, but we met, and she had her old store, which was not her happiest chapter of her life, and I was just starting out, and we had 2-year bourbon from Kings County, so it was pretty green, and I walked in there and she was like, yeah, this is no good, and I was like, all right, and I had just started in the industry, and this was about 10 years ago, and then I saw her a few years later at a whiskey event, and we had this beautiful Empire Rye, which you
2020, just before the pandemic.
yeah.
Yep.
Was it? Yeah. And, yeah. Anyway, so we had this new Empire Rye, 102 proof. She actually has it here on the shelf. She always buys a ton of it because it's really, really good.
It's really good.
And now we have a cast strength one that's like 121. But
That was kind of magical how that happened though, huh?
yeah, so she's walking by with this entourage of other whiskey people, and I saw her, and I was, so she came over, I was like, try this. And she's like, how much you have in stock? I said, I don't know, she's like, send it all to me. So I was like, I guess we're friends now. So.
Yeah, well, that's how I ended up with the Kings County barrel.
Yeah,
anyway,
and then, we have very, very few private barrels from Kings County, so Irene got to have a really pick of the pick, and I think your cupcake sold out in, an hour? So, again, she goes...
couldn't take orders faster.
We couldn't take orders faster, it would have been sold in seconds, but
yeah, so
it's
we
okay.
just,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of how we ended up on this project, and and meeting we from all single barrels that I buy and stuff like that, and that's the thing, and to Ford's point is that most people, right or wrong, and I get it, everybody does things differently, but when I buy single barrels, I really want to be there. It costs more money to be there, but then I get to pick what I want, and if they don't let me, then I go, okay, never have to see you again. Or you usually let them know ahead of time. If I don't like what you select for me, can I have, more samples to try? And if they say no, I go, okay, like with Jack Daniel's Rye, they go, yep, you're gonna come, and you're gonna have 2 samples. I go, well, what if I don't like, oh, we'll give you 3, because we've heard about you. And so I go, 3? Well, what if I don't like the 3? We've never had anybody not like our stuff. Clearly, you haven't met me. And I'm not trying to be an asshole, right? I mean, come on, it's my money on the line here, right? So I said no. I said, you know what? That's okay. I said, you're not going to force me to buy a barrel, right? Just because you're Jack Daniel's Rye and everybody wants one. I know I could sell it in a heartbeat, but I'm not going to, ruin my reputation by being forced to buy a barrel. I've never been forced to buy any barrels. So I told them, yeah, no thanks. I said, besides, you're already pissing me off. You're buying me lunch before I pick my barrel. So you're already
Conditioning you.
Yeah, exactly. So my palate's already not as clean as it could be. So I went and bought another barrel instead, from somebody else. So that was one of the nice things about working with Quantiquity and Virginia is that there was none of that, right? I mean, there was like, here, just come visit, and we have all kinds of stuff for you to try. And what's great was when Quantiquity was the previous master distiller, he was just running around because they rack them this way on pallets. So I'm like, well, how are you gonna get those barrels? He goes, you just sit there and we'll just line up some stuff for you. You tell us what style you want, and then this little guy's running around with the forklift all afternoon. I kind of felt bad. I was like, oh, and it was awesome because I got to try so many different things out there. And so, I mean, I can't wait to go back to see what else they have there. And that's the thing, when you actually take the time to go visit a distillery, have conversation with them, don't be a jackass about it. Don't be demanding, I need your best barrel. Well, you know what, you pick whatever barrels that you think fit your palate. And that way you kind of help to kind of build a relationship with the distillery so that so that when you go back and buy more stuff from them or have a conversation with them, they're much more willing to work with you, right? Because the other people go, well, do you know how many barrels I sell? And then it's like, it doesn't matter, right? Because if you don't have a good working relationship with your suppliers, basically, then it makes it very difficult to do business, either as a blender or as a retailer. So clearly for us, we've done it the crazy way. We have, I don't know, I think I stopped counting, but I have been counting recently. I think we're over 150 single barrels since we opened. Because we have 8 of 9, 10 of them coming in the next 3 months, which is kind of scary. Maybe the 2 from Finland may not show up. But I think it will. Yeah, it's upcoming at 78. It's upcoming at 78.
You ran out of space.
Yeah, space 90 squared, so now it's just a relic at this point.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But the whole idea is you know, to give people a chance to be able to come back and say, I really like that bottle, do you still have it? You know, because if your stuff sells out like this, it's great for the retailer, but it's kind of annoying for your customer, right? And that's not what I'm trying to build here. We built the museum, so museum needs to have relics, and so we have some stuff that hangs around for a while. It's a good way to look at it. Would anybody like a second pour of anything before they make it?
Little revisit.
Yeah,
of
we'll revisit
anything?
anything. So the 3 of us are here to triple sign your bottles. We figured out how to sign it so we can get all the signatures on there. And this will be the only place that happens because unfortunately Port can't be here for tomorrow. He wasn't here yesterday, and it's okay. But
We
this
have a
one-
special weekend this weekend. I don't know if you've heard about it. St. Patrick's weekend. This little festival thing we have.
Anybody in Boston?
I know. Used to be everywhere.
Yeah. But yeah, so we will triple sign your bottles, and the first 12 to buy a bottle of KillCo of anyone, and we'll get one of these, and then we will do the draw, and maybe at about 2:30 so. It's almost 2. Yeah, a half hour so far.
Yeah, and a half hour will do
Yeah,
it.
would anybody like a report of anything? The third one.
How much have we tasted?
Angry with
Yes. Our cover pot.
Yeah, yeah.
And the ticker strip on the distillery, so we placed the order.
There you have it, folks. As always, live long and prosper. Don't forget to be awesome. I will see you.
That we do on
Yeah, yeah.
I doubt it. Right,